على عهدي على ديني على أرض تلاقيني أنا لأهلي أنا أفديهم أنا دمي فلسطيني 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 أنا دمي فلسطيني.
Palestine and its diaspora dates back to 1917. The reason for the expulsion of the Palestinian population was because of the Balfour Declaration. At the time this declaration was drawn up, Palestine was under British mandate. The declaration called for a recognition of the Zionist movement and the Jewish state, and were assured that the land in Palestine would be theirs to create homes for the Jews. Fast forward to 1948, the United Nations created a partition plan for Palestine. This was split into four aspects: a Palestinian state, a Jewish state, a special state for Jerusalem, and the end of the British mandate. With the creation of the Zionist state came the 1948 Arab-Israeli War that resulted in over 700,000 Palestinians to leave their homeland and disperse to Lebanon, Jordan, Chile, the largest Palestinian population outside of the Middle East. Due to the forced expulsion of the Palestinian people out of their homes, one looks at the Palestinian diaspora as a victim diaspora. The oppressor felt they had the power over the Palestinians, causing a vertical shift power, as mentioned in Lisa Lowe's essay. The Palestinians were victim to an oppressor on their land and chose between life outside of their home or one in it, which can result in death. This video will talk about Palestinians brought to their homeland in order to keep their culture alive, creating a third space to those born in Palestinian immigrants, and we'll share two artifacts, art and poetry, and we'll look at a girl named Nadia who was born in Palestine and talks about leaving.
Born in 1936 in Palestine, Samia Halabai was only 12 years old when she was forced out of her homeland after a Zionist occupation. Samia and her family were forced to move to Beirut, and with the images of colonialism and occupation imprinted in her and her sister's minds, they took up art and drawing. Since she was a young girl, Halabai has had to experience living outside of her homeland, therefore using this experience to create powerful pieces of art that symbolize the cultural resistance of the Palestinians. Halabai's family moved to New York after several years of living in Beirut, and opened up a gallery that includes her art and artists of occupied lands that are either dead or in jail. One piece of art that stood out to us the most as a group was a piece of an image of Palestine merged with a butterfly. To us, this shows the hope that Samia Halabai brings to the art world and how she hopes for a return of her fellow Palestinians to their homes. And the color of it being purple rather than the typical red, green, black, and white of other Palestinian works proves that Halabai wishes for a future free of violence and occupation.
The thobe is a traditional dress worn by Palestinian women. American-born Palestinian woman Wafa Ghanay mentions her experience as a child with the thobes. She states, "My mother would dress up in embroidered dresses to go to school, and early on we learned the meaning of the designs, like the missiles, the gardens, and the birds. Through this article of clothing, one sees that it's all more than just clothes. This traditional dress shows how persistence and how much resistance the Palestinian people have against the oppressor." When it comes to educating folks about Palestinian culture, Ghanay mentions, "Throughout elementary school and high school, my mother would come in as a guest teacher to educate my classmates about Palestinian embroidery and culture. Dressing up as Palestinian or simply appearing as immigrants was a dead giveaway of their different identity." However, this did not stop Wafa from making more dresses and spreading her message about the Palestinian culture.
One type of cultural production that has surfaced through Palestinian diaspora is poetry. Through their work, two Palestinian poets, Mahmoud Darwish and Murid Barghouti, explicate and capture the experiences of many Palestinians in exile. The following is a short excerpt from Darwish's I Come From There. "I walk this land before the swords, turn its living body into a laden table. I come from there. I render the sky unto her mother when the sky weeps for her mother. And I weep to make myself known to a returning cloud. I learned all the words worthy of the court of blood, so that I could break the rule. I learned all the words and broke them up, to make a single word, homeland." Darwish speaks about his experience of being forced out of home. Much like many Palestinian narratives, Darwish emphasizes physical and spatial displacement, which can be attributed to push and pull factors. He feels as if he is a victim that has been pushed out of his home from political conflict and war. Due to war denoted as swords, this poem explicates on how his home seems like a distant past. The significance of this piece is its ability to demonstrate a common diaspora consciousness of longing to return home. Darwish finishes the poem stating he would make a single word, homeland. To emphasize that home is an unforgettable aspect of his life, a similar sentiment to many other Palestinians. The following is the first and last stanza of Barghouti's Midnight. My grandfather, still harboring the illusion that all is well with the world, fills his countryside pipe for the last time before the advent of the helmets and bulldozers. He went on staring at the emptiness. I said, "What shall we do after the soldiers leave? What will he do after the soldiers leave?" He slowly clenched his fist, recapturing a boxer's resolve in his right hand, his coarse bronze hand, the hand which had tamed the thorny slope, the hand which holds his hoe lightly and with ease like prayer, his hand which can split a tree stump with a single blow, his hand opened for forgiveness, his hand closed on sweets to surprise his grandchildren, his hand amputated years ago. Barghouti characterizes a bulldozer which destroys his father's home. This represents a sentiment that his home has been demolished by a force that seems to be overpowering. For many Palestinians in exile, this is a shared emotion since they feel helpless at being evicted from their homeland. The usage of emptiness in this poem also displays the distraught and psychological displacement that has occurred. There is a state of shock that their home seems to be gone in an instant. For many Palestinians who have been forcibly removed from their home, they retain strong emotions of disappointment and frustration. A third space is formed where Palestinians feel as if they do not belong, but their rich history, culture, and family bind them to the land. Overall, this poem explains a narrative of Palestinian diaspora where there is expedient forced removal by a foreign overpowering entity.
My home is both Dallas and Ramallah. Both of them are my home because I lived in both places and I have loved ones in both places. I guess a home is where your loved ones are, but I would also say one of my loved ones are Palestine. I was raised in Palestine but moved to the US during the war. Now I'm back in Palestine. Well, when I moved to the US, it was during the middle of the Intifada. There was too many bombings and violence, scared for my life. When I came back to Ramallah, it was because I finished studying and got my degree. I'm hoping I can make a change to the Palestinian struggle by simply living here. That is resistance since they want us to leave. Oh God, I didn't speak English, didn't know anyone. It was the most horrible experience. As a child, it was very sad. For a child to go through that kind of depression is unnecessary. I have returned, yet I feel Dallas is also home. It's what happens to most Palestinians. A problem with identity because home is uncertain.